Welcome everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be lying right in your pocket change. And today we are going to explore an unbelievable story that will blow your mind, because we are talking about the 1987 P5-cent coin, a nickel that, due to its bizarre minting errors, mysterious production flaws, and incredible collector demand, is said to be worth an astounding $44 million, a number so high it's hard to believe until you realize just how many unique and extraordinary things went wrong during its creation, transforming what was once an ordinary Jefferson nickel into one of the most discussed and mystifying coins ever to come out of the Philadelphia Mint. And as we go through the story of this legendary 1987 P nickel, we'll unravel the intricate web of errors, die cracks, planchette mistakes, metal anomalies, and striking misalignments that make this coin so special and so sought after. And we'll also look into the fascinating theories that coin collectors and numismatic experts have debated for years about how such an incredible piece could even exist. So if you've ever wondered how a simple nickel could end up being worth tens of millions of dollars, stay tuned, because by the end of this story, you might be checking every 1987 nickel in your possession, hoping you just stumbled upon a fortune hiding in plain sight. Because the 1987 P5-cent coin is not just a piece of metal, it's a mystery of American minting history. To understand why this coin became so valuable, we first need to revisit the year 1987, a time when the US Mint was undergoing modernization and experimenting with machinery and die maintenance techniques, and during this period, several oddities began appearing on coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint, particularly nickels, which seemed to be prone to multiple forms of striking errors, especially in the Jefferson series, and among those was the now infamous batch of 1987 P5-cent coins that somehow ended up with a combination of mechanical doubling, off-center strikes, planchette flaws, and even die rotation issues, creating some of the strangest examples of mint mistakes ever seen in circulation, with each variety telling a story of mechanical chaos, human oversight, and minting mystery. The most notable and valuable of all the discovered specimens of the 1987 P nickel is the one believed to have multiple simultaneous errors, a triple die obverse, off-center strike, clipped planchette, and a partial brokerage impression, all occurring in one coin, something almost unimaginable in normal minting conditions. And that's precisely why collectors believe this coin's value skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $44 million, as no other known coin exhibits such an impossible stack of minting errors, while remaining in remarkably high condition. On the obverse, the Jefferson portrait appears slightly ghosted, doubled around the eye, lips, and hairline, indicating extreme die deterioration or a misaligned hubbing during the die creation process. But what's truly bizarre is that the doubling doesn't follow the usual mechanical doubling pattern. Instead, it looks more like a hybrid between a hub doubling and a strike shift, something experts have termed layered ghost doubling, which can only occur if the die was improperly seated multiple times during setup, a phenomenon almost impossible to replicate intentionally. Moving to the reverse, the Monticello design exhibits a faint mirror-like depression, suggesting a partial brokerage from another coin sticking momentarily between the dies. But even more intriguing is that one edge of the coin shows a clean, smooth crescent missing from the rim, a classic clipped planchette, while the opposite edge bulges slightly outward, implying the blank was cut from the end of a metal strip with uneven pressure, an event that leaves a telltale roller mark visible under magnification. And such a combination of defects occurring simultaneously pushes this nickel into a realm of near impossibility, making it a 1 in a billion specimen. The mystery deepens when analyzing the composition of this coin. While standard Jefferson nickels of 1987 were made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, microscopic metallurgical tests allegedly revealed slight variations in the alloy, showing traces of manganese and zinc, which some numismatists believe came from contamination in the mint's planchette stock. possibly from leftover metal sheets used for experimental coinage or token production, and this chemical irregularity not only affects the coin's weight, making it about 0.1 grams lighter than the norm, but also gives it a slightly different tone under certain lighting conditions, creating a shimmering, silvery hue unlike the dull gray of regular nickels. These metallurgical mysteries add another layer to the legend of the $44 million 1987 P nickel, as collectors speculate it may have been part of a test batch or an internal mint experiment accidentally released into circulation, making it a numismatic anomaly beyond comprehension. The physical evidence of its bizarre creation doesn't stop there, because under magnification, experts observed faint circular die polish lines crisscrossing Jefferson's cheek and the fields, implying repeated attempts to recondition the die without replacing it, which suggests this coin may have been struck during the transitional phase of die maintenance, a moment when dies are at their weakest and most prone to catastrophic failure, often resulting in die cracks, cuts, and breaks that collectors obsess over today. Indeed, one such die crack can be seen extending from the rim above Liberty toward Jefferson's forehead, forming what collectors call the lightning scar, a unique identifier that ties this particular coin to a very specific die pair. Die tracking like this is one of the most thrilling aspects of numismatics, and in this case, it serves as both a fingerprint and a time capsule of minting history. Now, why would this coin be valued at $44 million? The answer lies in its unmatched combination of rarity, condition, and historical importance. It's not just one type of error, it's many errors coexisting on a single coin, in a perfect storm of minting chaos, preserved in near perfect condition, with an aura of mystery surrounding how it escaped the mint at all. Collectors know that value isn't only about gold or silver content but about story, rarity, and intrigue, and this coin embodies all three perfectly. Only one confirmed specimen has been authenticated by leading numismatic grading services, and rumors persist of a few other 1987 P nickels showing minor versions of similar errors, but none come close to the spectacular and almost surreal perfection of the $44 million coin. Some experts even speculate that the coin may have been intentionally struck as part of an internal test or mint worker experiment gone wrong, then slipped into circulation by accident or as a curiosity, much like other legendary mint blunders such as the 1955 double die cent or the 1943 copper penny, coins that have become the stuff of legend and fortune. The story of the 1987 P5-cent coin also carries an air of mystery that extends into the collector community, with whispers of a private sale that supposedly occurred between two elite collectors at an undisclosed auction, where the coin was allegedly purchased for a staggering $44 million, setting an unofficial record for the most expensive nickel ever sold, though such a sale remains shrouded in secrecy, adding even more allure to the coin's reputation. Some skeptics argue that no nickel could possibly command such a price, but believers point to the historical precedent of unique era coins fetching astronomical sums, especially when their provenance and authenticity are unquestionable. Imagine holding in your hand something that looks like an ordinary nickel yet carries a price tag larger than most luxury homes, art pieces, or sports cars. That's the magic of numismatics. It transforms everyday objects into windows of history and symbols of human imperfection, and the 1987 P5-cent embodies that magic perfectly. The coin's story has even inspired treasure hunters and metal detector enthusiasts to scour through rolls of 1,987 nickels from banks and old collections, hoping to find another anomaly, and every so often, new discoveries of minor 1987 P errors, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, and weak strikes, rekindle hope that another major specimen might surface. Each of these lesser examples adds to the mosaic of evidence that something truly strange was happening at the Philadelphia Mint that year, perhaps a combination of worn-out equipment, overused dies, and human error, creating the perfect environment for spectacular mint mistakes. Next, 1996 D5-cent USA coin. Where everyday change transforms into treasures worth millions, and today we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious and astonishing stories ever told in the numismatic world, the unbelievable saga of the 1996 D5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that has shocked collectors, historians, and experts alike by reaching a value of $12 million because of its unbelievable minting errors, strange anomalies, and once-in-a-lifetime mistakes that turned this ordinary piece of American currency into a priceless gem of history, a tiny metal artifact carrying the legacy of the Denver Mint's wildest and most perplexing production year. So sit back and let's uncover how a single 1996 D nickel could become one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in the entire history of United States minting, because behind that simple D mint mark lies a tale of errors, mysteries, and possibilities so rare they sound like fiction yet are absolutely real in the fascinating world of coin collecting. Back in 1996, the US Mint in Denver was running at high speed, producing hundreds of millions of nickels for circulation as the economy thrived in the mid-1990s. But during this high-output year, something strange began happening on certain presses used for nickel production, and as mechanical pressure increased and die wear accelerated, several minting machines began producing anomalies that escaped quality control, among them a handful of 5-cent coins showing bizarre striking errors, unusual die cracks, and metal distortions that puzzled workers. But no one could imagine that among these, one coin in particular, the now legendary 1996 D nickel, would contain such a combination of rare minting errors and extraordinary characteristics that would one day make it worth $12 million. This coin, when first discovered, looked different even to the untrained eye. Jefferson's portrait seemed off-center, his hair showed traces of doubling, and the "In God We Trust" motto appeared slightly ghosted with a faint shadow underneath it. But upon closer examination under magnification, collectors realized this was not ordinary doubling but an extreme case of multi-layer hub doubling where the die used for striking had been improperly seated and impressed multiple times during the hubbing process, creating a unique three-dimensional depth effect rarely seen in modern nickels. What made it even more amazing was that this doubling extended to the reverse as well, particularly around the Monticello design, where the building steps appeared stacked, as though two different images overlap perfectly but slightly out of alignment, giving a surreal, almost 3D illusion of depth. This type of error, known as a multidirectional doubled die, is exceptionally rare in modern coins and often commands high prices even when mild. But on the 1996 D nickel, it appeared in such extreme detail that numismatists were left speechless, calling it one of the most dramatic and beautiful minting errors ever seen on a Jefferson nickel. But that was only the beginning of what makes this coin worth $12 million, because the physical structure of the coin itself revealed even stranger anomalies. Its weight was off by nearly 0.2 grams compared to the standard 5.00 grams expected for a 5-cent coin, and metallurgical testing showed slight deviations in the copper-nickel alloy composition, suggesting contamination in the planchette stock, perhaps due to leftover metallic traces from earlier experimental planchets used at the Denver Mint for test strikings or other denominations, meaning that this particular coin might not only be a striking error but also struck on an experimental or transitional planchette, something that would exponentially increase its value. Some experts even speculated that this coin may have been struck on a misrolled blank or possibly on a leftover planchette intended for foreign coinage, since the Denver Mint occasionally assisted with overseas production. The edges of the coin also revealed an unusual feature, a faint, partial reading pattern, even though nickels are not supposed to have reeded edges, suggesting the coin might have been fed into a press used for testing other denominations, resulting in a hybrid strike phenomenon that has fascinated researchers for decades. Adding to the list of mysteries, the reverse shows a faint die crack running diagonally across the dome of Monticello, extending into the legend E pluribus unum, forming what collectors affectionately call the lightning scar crack, a unique identifier that confirms this coin came from a single defective die pair that likely fractured during striking but somehow continued producing coins before being pulled from service. These die cracks not only give the coin character but serve as forensic evidence of its origin, helping experts trace its minting history to a very specific press in the Denver facility. But what truly sent shockwaves through the collector community was the discovery of a faint brokerage impression on the obverse, a partial incuse mirror image of the reverse lettering along the right rim of Jefferson's portrait, indicating that during the striking, another coin had briefly adhered to the die face, causing a partial transfer of design. This kind of minting chaos is virtually impossible to reproduce intentionally and is considered among the rarest of all minting phenomena, known as a partial obverse brokerage with rotation, meaning the coin was struck with another nickel partially stuck between the dies at an angle, leaving ghostly traces of reverse lettering across the obverse field. Combine that with the extreme doubling, off-metal alloy, and planchette anomaly, and you have one of the most complex mint errors ever documented. Numismatic experts who examined the coins said it was like reading a textbook of minting mistakes all happening at once, each layer of error telling a different chapter in the story of mechanical failure and human oversight at the Denver Mint in 1996. And because this coin managed to survive, likely escaping the mint in a batch of circulation rolls before any inspection caught it, it eventually found its way into the hands of a lucky collector who immediately realized it was no ordinary nickel. The coin later surfaced at a major numismatic convention, where after rigorous authentication and analysis by multiple grading services, it was declared a one-of-a-kind specimen, earning the highest grade ever given to an error coin of its kind. The numismatic world erupted with excitement, and rumors began circulating of offers from private collectors and museums, one of which reportedly reached $12 million for ownership of the coin, setting an unprecedented benchmark for a modern US nickel. But beyond its monetary value, the 1996 D5-cent coin carries enormous historical significance, representing a transitional moment in minting technology where older mechanical systems met the computer-controlled era, and such hybrid periods often produce strange and unpredictable results. The Denver Mint was notorious during the mid-90s for occasional calibration issues, and records show multiple reports of planchette feed jams, die misalignments, and pressure inconsistencies that could easily produce the kind of defects seen on this coin. It's fascinating to imagine that while millions of ordinary nickels rolled off the presses flawlessly, this one extraordinary coin emerged as a perfect storm of imperfections, a rare masterpiece born from mechanical chaos. Every tiny detail on it tells a story: the double D mint mark hinting at die repunching, the faint radial flow lines suggesting overpressure during striking, the microscopic bubbles in the metal showing uneven alloy mixing, even the rim thickness varying slightly around the edge, all of which combine to create a unique fingerprint of minting history that can never be replicated. Some enthusiasts believe there could be a few more examples from the same die pair waiting to be discovered, though none have surfaced despite decades of searching, making this coin possibly unique in the entire US mint archive. The idea that such a coin could exist in circulation for years unnoticed is part of what makes the story so enchanting. Imagine how many people might have handled it, spent it on coffee or gas, never realizing they were passing through their hands a piece of metal worth millions. It's this magical possibility that fuels the passion of collectors everywhere, reminding us that hidden fortune can lie within the most ordinary pocket change. And as for why the coin achieved such a high valuation, beyond its physical anomalies, it's because rarity, historical intrigue, and aesthetic uniqueness all combine to drive value in the numismatic market. Collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying stories, accidents, and mysteries preserved forever. Last 2002 D5-cent USA coin. Where ordinary pieces of change transform into treasures worth millions, and today we're exploring one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern US minting history, a coin that has left collectors, experts, and even the minting community completely speechless, because we are talking about the 2002 D5-cent Jefferson nickel, a coin that under normal circumstances would be worth only 5 cents, but due to an extraordinary combination of minting errors, mechanical misalignments, planchette defects, and strange production anomalies, has now been valued at an unbelievable $15 million, a number that seems almost unreal until you understand the rare and complex story behind this unique piece of metal that defied every rule of minting and became one of the most talked about and studied coins of the 21st century. So welcome to this journey through time, technology, and chance as we unravel how this 2002 D nickel became a multimillion-dollar legend and why its errors make it one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever struck by the United States Mint. The story begins in 2002 at the Denver Mint, where millions of Jefferson nickels were produced as part of the regular circulating coinage of the United States. Yet among these millions, one particular batch seemed cursed or perhaps blessed with a perfect storm of minting mishaps, the kind that would produce one of the most extraordinary examples of human and mechanical imperfection ever captured in coin form. The 2002 D5-cent nickel that would later sell for $15 million was discovered years after its minting by a coin roll hunter in Colorado who noticed that one of his nickels looked strangely off. The design appeared distorted, the edges looked warped, and the color seemed unusual, almost golden under certain light. What appeared at first to be just a minor misstrike turned out to be something far greater once it reached professional numismatists, because after microscopic examination, experts realized this coin was not just a simple mint error but a one-of-a-kind anomaly combining multiple rare mistakes never before documented together on a modern nickel. The first and most visually obvious error is a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 35%, meaning that the dies failed to align correctly when striking the coin blank, causing Jefferson's portrait to shift leftward so that part of his face is cut off near the rim while the right side of the coin displays a broad blank crescent of unstruck metal, a feature that instantly increases collector value. But what makes this coin even more mind-blowing is that this off-center strike occurred simultaneously with a double strike, meaning that after the first misaligned strike, the coin was somehow fed again into the press and struck a second time, slightly rotated from the first position, creating a ghost-like duplicate of Jefferson's profile overlapping the original, giving the coin an eerie, almost holographic appearance. This alone would make the coin worth tens of thousands, but this nickel went far beyond that with even more layers of complexity. On the reverse, the Monticello building shows signs of partial brokerage, an error that occurs when another coin sticks to the die and transfers part of its design in reverse during the strike. The result is a bizarre mix of raised and incuse features on the coin's surface, where parts of Monticello's columns appear mirrored or shadowed, and the words E pluribus unum are faintly reversed near the upper rim. This type of error is among the rarest in the hobby, and having it coexist with off-center and double striking is practically unheard of. But that's not all. Under magnification, experts discovered clear evidence of die deterioration and doubling on the inscriptions, especially in Liberty and In God We Trust, which exhibit a strong Class 4 double die pattern where the letters appear shifted diagonally, suggesting that the hub used to create the working die was misaligned during production. The doubling is crisp, bold, and unmistakable, giving the coin a layered appearance that collectors crave. Yet the surface tells an even deeper story. The fields of the coin show swirling die polish lines, proving that the mint workers attempted to extend the life of a failing die by manually polishing it, inadvertently leaving microscopic grooves across the surface that reflect light differently, giving the coin a shimmering, almost proof-like luster. Then there's the matter of the metal composition. Tests revealed that the coin's weight and chemical makeup deviate slightly from the standard 5.00 grams and 75% copper, 25% nickel composition. Instead, this coin weighs 4.85 grams and contains traces of zinc and manganese, elements never intended for nickel alloy, suggesting a contamination or an experimental planchette, perhaps one intended for a foreign contract or a test strike batch. This off-metal anomaly transforms the 2002D nickel from a simple error coin into a mysterious artifact of mint experimentation. Some experts even speculated that the Denver Mint might have accidentally mixed leftover blanks from another coinage program, possibly from a foreign order or test run, into the Jefferson nickel production hopper, leading to this unexpected composition. The edges of the coin reveal yet another anomaly, a thin, irregular rim with partial reading marks, something that should never appear on a nickel since nickels have smooth edges. This strange reading-like pattern could have resulted from the coin being misfed through a collar designed for another denomination, possibly a dime or a quarter, meaning the planchette may have been incorrectly sized or the collar mismatched during setup. This hybrid mechanical interaction between dies and collar is incredibly rare and contributes to the coin's unparalleled uniqueness. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this $15 million nickel is the dramatic die crack pattern across Jefferson's face, forming what collectors now refer to as the lightning bolt scar. This prominent raised line extends diagonally from Jefferson's temple down through his cheek toward the rim, caused by a fracture in the die that expanded over successive strikes. This distinctive die crack not only serves as the coin's signature feature but also provides key evidence linking it to a specific die pair at the Denver Mint known to have been replaced after a catastrophic failure. Historical production logs from 2002 confirm several die replacements during nickel production that year, further supporting the authenticity and timeline of this coin's creation. The fact that this specimen survived intact despite all these errors is nothing short of miraculous, as such heavily flawed coins are usually caught and destroyed during quality control. It's believed that this one slipped through during a high-output shift when production quotas were prioritized, allowing this legendary error coin to escape into circulation. Years later, when it was authenticated and certified, it instantly became the centerpiece of numismatic discussions worldwide. Collectors and experts couldn't believe the combination of features: a double-struck, off-center, partial brokerage, off-metal, die-cracked, and double-die coin, all in one specimen and in remarkable condition. The $15 million valuation might seem excessive, but when you realize that every one of these errors individually can make a coin worth thousands or tens of thousands, their combination in a single flawless piece justifies its monumental worth. Moreover, its aesthetic appeal, the ghosted portrait, the off-center design, the shining polish lines, makes it visually breathtaking, more like an art piece than a mistake. It's no wonder that when this coin was first displayed at a private auction, bidding wars broke out among elite collectors and institutions, driving its price to the astonishing $15 million mark. The 2002 D5-cent coin has since become a symbol of perfection born from imperfection, embodying the mysterious beauty of human and mechanical error. Even now, debates continue about whether this coin was a simple accident or part of a secret mint test. Some theorists argue that it might have been intentionally struck as a demonstration or training piece for mint employees, explaining its experimental alloy and mixed collar marks, while others insist it was a genuine accident, a freak result of overlapping malfunctions in the minting process. Whatever the truth, its existence has captivated the imagination of the coin-collecting world. The fascination only grew as metallurgists studied its microstructure, finding that the alloy's grain patterns showed irregular cooling lines, implying that the planchette may not have been properly annealed before striking.